All right, so we'll start out in child's pose tonight, working on our knees and low back. So this is a great place to start. We're gently compressing the knee joints. And I like to rock a little bit and kind of roll the joints of the lower body around, kind of a nice massage. And find your breath, of course. We always want to start practice by finding a really nice, long, slow breath. Deep and expansive. And let the exhales be really strong and complete. Press your belly in to your spine. Okay, breathe deeply into the low back and continue to let the hips get a little heavier with time. And by the way, if this is not so great on your hips or knees, you can widen your knees. You can put something under your hips like a block and kind of sit on it. So those are always ways you can interpret. Always feel free to interpret postures and make them work for you. Explore. Okay, allow yourself to soften into the magic of this beautiful posture. And we're going to give the breath and gravity and the posture some time just to work that magic. So the deeper you breathe, the more you can expand all the tissues of your torso and then relax everything in your body, the better. Let your jaw hang slack and soft. And give yourself absolute permission here to just let go and do absolutely nothing at all. But breathe. Okay, feel the tissues of your back maybe peeling open a little bit with your big breath. Where do you feel it in your back the most? Depending on what you've been doing today, you might feel it in your low back, your middle, or your upper. Okay, just notice what's really going on back there. And pay attention to the front of the body too, the belly and the chest expanding outward. To make a big Buddha belly inhale, just embrace that big belly breath. It feels good. And then strengthen your belly on the exhale. Pull the belly button in. And it's nice to find that exploration in either direction, okay, with the breath. We're kind of walking a balance between the soft fullness of the inhale, the freedom, and then the strength and compression of the exhale. Do your best to make those two sides, those two halves of the breath equal. Finding a beautiful symmetry. All right, my friends. Breathing feels so good, but let's move a little bit too. Let's start to walk the hands out, get some stretch in the upper body. So if you dig down into your fingertips and keep your hips really heavy, then you can kind of pull on the mat and stretch open your armpits, maybe rock side to side, looking one way, the other way, and start to get some rotation in your spine and make it feel nice. So what you're doing here is you're actively lengthening your spine with the strength of your upper body. So grab on the mat, pull your heart forward, rotate a few more side to sides. And then grip the mat. We're coming up to hands and knees. Come on up. Find a tabletop position here. Okay. And remember in your tabletop to be active in your push against the floor. So you're actively pushing down. Your belly button is lifting in towards your spine. Okay, feeling really strong. From here, tuck your toes. We're just gonna let the legs get a little bit warm, get a little core engagement. So hovering your knees. Always remember you can drop one or two, but do your best to keep a long spine. So if you notice, like I tend to round my upper back here instinctively, see if you could, like me, attempt to pull your elbows a little closer toward each other and send your heart a little bit forward so it's more over your thumbs. It's more challenging, but you're going to be working in the right place there. So pull the belly button up, float the heart over the thumbs, find a space in your spine as you hover. Okay, I'm going to further challenge you to keep both hovers, okay, but extend one leg back like you're doing a plank, okay, and then bring it back into hover. Switch sides. Send it back like a plank, and then bring it into hover. And let's keep going like that. You can think inhale to a straight leg, and exhale to a bent leg. So we can keep it slow that way. Inhale, and exhale. I want you to make this kind of a moving meditation and feel all your muscles get warm. Remember to take a break if you need it. Let's do 3 more on each side. Your pace, absolutely your pace. Soften the elbows, pull the heart forward again if you lost it. So you're not just sinking into the upper body. It's definitely in control here, actively gripping the floor. Okay, last one. And then step both feet back to your plank. That's right, we're gonna hold the plank right here. Pull the belly button in, push the floor for 3 more breaths. Pull the heart forward, lift the belly button. Try to bear some weight in your legs. 2 more breaths. This last breath is the deepest. And then we're pressing it back to down dog. Press back to downward facing dog. Walk your hands in by your feet, and let's bend the knees really generously here, and maybe send them a little bit apart from each other. As a matter of fact, what if we just point the toes out and have the heels a little bit more in? So generously bend the knees. Let's hang here and swing. It might feel nice to take your hands behind your back here and move them away from you. Kind of opening up the fronts of your shoulders. Okay, straightening one leg, then the other. Maybe feeling like you could swing way over to one side and then swing way over to the other. Notice how that feels in the low back. Nice little release there. And then let's play around with this kind of exaggerated movement. What if next time you're over on the left, you pause, okay, extend the right leg, but bend into the left. See if you could just drape your torso on top of that right knee and maybe look way over to the right. So try to let your head hang and just enjoy this little inverted twist. And then let's send it through center and let yourself rest over on your right thigh. Let the torso hang long, okay? Breathe here, looking to the left. Let the torso get a little longer. Bring it back to center here. Okay, release your hands and drop into your hips. So I want you to come down into a really wide squat here. And if it's not comfortable to come down at first, no problem. Just take it slow and start high up. And if you really push into your leg bones, I think you'll find that eventually you will be able to release down and do it. So stick with it. Okay, push down into your heels. Leg bones are pushing down. You're engaging all your muscles in your legs. We're just going to breathe right here for A few more breaths. So if you like, pick your hands up and put palms together and give yourself a really good push between your palms. Nice deep breath. The legs are getting really warm here. So maybe you try to move your knees away from your elbows by widening them out to the side. Find a little more length in the spine. Maybe 3 more long, slow breaths here. So keep the legs strong. Keep the spine long. And allow the hips to release a little lower for this last breath here. And then let's start to move. So nice and slow. Inhaling, push into your feet, interlace your fingers, and push your hands way out to one side. So make it a side stretch. And exhale, right back down into the squat, just where you were before. Just as low as you want to go. Again, inhale, interlace your fingers. This time press up to the other side. Another side stretch. And exhale down into the squat. So let's take a few more like this. Just move in and breathe in. Nice work for your hips. Really a full body movement. You can even add a little twistiness to it if you like. Couple more times on each side, okay? Notice how your hips feel. Okay, next time you come down into your squat, drop your hands and walk it forward to a plank. Okay, and just one big breath in here. In your plank, push the floor. And then exhale back to your down dog. And let's hang out here. Walk out the heels for a moment. So start to push forward with your hands here in down dog and pull back with your feet. Trying to create as much space as you can between the front and the back of your mat. So one thing I like to do in down dog is to set myself up and then try walking your fingers an inch or two forward and make your spine that much longer. Lengthen your kneecaps up towards your hips, and hopefully that allows your hamstrings to release. And you've got a nice long down dog to enjoy. So I want you to think about making extra space in your spine here, maybe rolling to look side to side. And then roll to look at your belly button, and then look through your hands. And then maybe kind of extend and flex your spine a few times, belly button, hands. And then it becomes kind of a nice wavy movement in your spine. Okay, and keep that wavy movement going. Maybe add your knees into it. So maybe when you look at your hands, you also bend your knees. And when you look at your belly button, you straighten your knees. We've got this nice kind of wavy down dog movement. And you can start to make it really wavy and kind of interpret it. And I think this is really nice. Feels good as an introduction to down dog. And try a few more wavy down dogs. And then settle in, and we'll start to move. Ready? Here we go. Inhaling here, get your right leg way up and out behind. See if you can send it way up into the air. Okay, exhale, step that right foot forward. Okay, dropping your back heel. Inhale, come up to warrior one. Okay, back heel is down. We're really pushing through that back foot and trying to square your hips off at the front of the mat. Do your best. Okay, maybe grab your elbows here and kind of send them back behind you. You really want to open up your chest. Press into the outer edge of that back foot here. So all the left toes and that outer edge, left heel. Think of lifting your left arch. And if everything's going well, you feel quite aligned here, start to really press into your legs. Okay, really lift your heart. Maybe one more big breath in here. Your warrior one. And then exhale, release your hands. Drop them around that front foot. and send it back to a down dog. Inhaling here, find a plank. Exhale, bend your knees, hover just off the mat. Knees hover, sit back for your heels. So you're gonna have to push with your hands. Inhale for a plank. And exhale, you can hop or step it to your hands. Big fold when you get there. Roll it up, inhale. Okay, come up on your tippy toes here. Whoop. And exhale as you drop your hips as low as you want to go. So drop down into a tiptoe squat, nice and slow. Inhale, still on your tippy toes, back up to standing. And exhale, drop your heels and fold. Come halfway up on your inhale. Then big fold it on your exhale. Okay, palms are down. With your inhale, you can hop it or step it back to plank. And exhale, knees, chest, and chin either float or come all the way down. You can hover though. Inhaling, find your cobra. Drop your tailbone and lift your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take some more breaths here, walk it out. Push the mat with your arms, pull it back with your feet. Create length in your spine. Maybe one more big breath here. All right, inhaling here, left leg up and out behind. Exhale and drop that foot between your hands. Okay, dropping the back heel, right heel down. Coming up for your warrior one. Inhale here and hold and breathe in this warrior one. We'll kind of let it sink in. So really press into the back edge of that right foot. Lift the right arch. Legs are strong, pushing into the floor, and you're trying to face your hips at the front of the mat. Maybe grab your elbows the opposite way this time. Keep a long neck and think of kind of peeling your heart up on top of your shoulder blades. Remember to keep the neck long though. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana. One more breath here. Big heart. And exhale, all hands down around the front foot, down dog. Inhaling here, find your plank. Exhale, bend your knees, look at your hands. Inhale to a plank. And exhale, hop or step forward, fold. Roll it up, inhale. Okay, once you get here, come up on your tippy toes. And exhale, hover yourself just as low as you want to go. Okay, back up on your inhale. Here you go. And exhale, heels down and fold. Halfway up for your inhale. Big fold, exhale. Okay, palms are down. Inhale, you can hop it or step it. All the way down for your knees, chest, and chin. So you can hover or come all the way down. Wag your tail and inhale. Cobra. Heart up. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Right. Find some breath to take here. We got the arms and legs nice and warm. Maybe one more big breath in. And then exhale. I want you to just walk all the way to your hands. Okay, we're going to start getting down, more down to the mat. So first I want to take a really nice forward fold, a really long one. Okay, just take a few deep breaths here. So first of all, it's nice to have your hands on something. So if you feel like you're kind of, it's just hard to reach the floor, maybe bend your knees. And even if you have to bend your knees really deeply, like I'm doing right now, that would even be better, just to have your upper body supported somehow. So find where that is for you. And let your head hang, truly hang. Shake it out. Let your spine hang nice and long. And then you have the choice to either grab your calves, okay? And just kind of gently hang your head like that. Or you might want to grab your elbows behind your calves and you can kind of slide them down. Eventually, you might feel like you want to really engage your quads and pull your kneecaps up toward your hips. And that should feel like a really nice release on your hamstrings and your low back at the same time. So I really want to encourage you in your forward folds, not only here, but just anywhere else, you're always engaging your quads in your forward fold to release the back body. So you kind of use that to your advantage. Maybe one more breath here in your nice big forward fold. And then release that. Let's take the feet just a little wider than your hips are. Okay, now that we're a little bit more open in the hips, point the toes out and pop down into a nice squat, okay? Garland pose or Malasana. And I'll turn to face you more so you can see. So with your spine nice and long, and as I said before, if it's not comfortable to sink down right away, don't worry. Just come up and let time do its thing. No problem. Let's see if you could strengthen in the legs, so actively push down into both feet. Use your leg bones and see if that helps you release a little bit. You might notice a difference rather than just sinking into it. And see if you can move your knees away from each other even. You get a little bit taller in your spine. So nice release for your hips. So you can stay here, you can take a break, or you can kind of dive into it by reaching the right arm out in front of the right leg and grabbing the floor, okay? Somewhere out there. And then you can reach the left arm up and get a nice twist. So keep pushing down into your feet. Don't let them go to sleep. If everything's feeling great and this feels nice in your hips and your low back, you can take your right hand behind you and your left hand too, and they might find each other today or maybe another day. That's okay. But try it out, see what you think, and then keep pushing the floor as you squeeze that knee and look up over your left shoulder. And remember to breathe. I always encourage you to wiggle in postures and kind of explore how shifting your weight might feel. Always play around and explore. This is a nice one to do that. Now let's come through center and over to the other side. So we're going to think of pushing into the feet while we extend the left arm out to the left. Right arm up. Really sinking down into this strong lower body that we have. Push into the heels, okay? Let the hips sink as the heels push down. Maybe the left hand curls behind your back, and so does the right. And they can hold each other, and you can twist up and open. Nice big breath here, please. Do the good work in the hips. Maybe one more breath here. Go ahead and roll yourself out of that. And just because we're here and we're perfectly set up, let's try just a little crow pose before we get down to the mat. So your hands are under your shoulders for crow, and just make little elbow wings that point out to the side. And you'll notice that your elbow wings might hook nicely under your knees. So try out that feeling. And then come up on your tippy toes, and it might help to tippy toe your tippy toes toward each other, okay? That might help. So here you are beginning to think about going into crow. And if you're scared, don't worry. There's definitely safe options to play with where you don't have to get off the ground. Don't be scared of crow, it's fine. So the first thing you want to practice is just dropping your head and lifting your bottom. Drop your head, lift your bottom. And that, for most people, is the scary part. So just try it. You're not going to go too far. Even if you fall, it's not that far. So the next time you come up, see if you just want to lift one toe or one foot off the ground and point it behind you. Make it really pointy and come down. Switch sides. One toe points back or one foot points back. So you can keep going like that, pointing your toes back. And then maybe one day you get confident enough and you say, I'll lift both for a second. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Lift both. And then eventually maybe you start counting seconds, 2, 3, to whatever works for you. But try out some variation of crow, please. Take a few more moments. I want you to spend a little bit of time on it. Once crow becomes easy, you can think of pushing the floor more and more straightening out your arms. And then you can play around with crow push-ups. I think crow push-ups are pretty fun. So always play with your crow. Okay, my friends. Return back to earth as a human and come to your knees here. We're going to get into that hero pose. So hero pose, we think about sitting down. You can sit your feet on either side of your hips. You're trying to sit between your feet, okay? And if this isn't comfortable, then that's not really a problem. You can take a block and sit it under your hips, or a blanket or your sweater or something, and just sit it under your hips, and that will probably help. If not, you can try just one leg or one knee at a time. Okay, so I want you to kind of experiment if it's not comfortable and you have any knee injuries. But if everything's going great, hang out in your hero posture. Okay, take a moment to let things kind of sink down into the posture. And then remember to activate your legs downwards. So you're pushing actively into the floor with your legs. And you want to sense that your knees are moving not just together, but down. So the knees are moving down and together. All right? So from there, you can start to maybe drop your hands behind you and point your tailbone at your toes. Take a few breaths right here, just beginning to sit back on your hands, using your shoulder blades to lift up your heart. So from here, maybe you decide you want to come down to your elbows. Okay. So here is where you might really start to notice that your tailbone starts to want to point down and your low back tends to kind of pop up. Just be aware that that's going to happen. Curl your tailbone to really point at your knees until you feel that stretch across your quads. And keep the low back as neutral as you can. Keep the knees pointed down and together, and maybe come down to your back. Try to keep that spine neutral. Notice the tilt of your pelvis. And then maybe you take your hands behind you. Okay, should feel really nice on your quadriceps, the top of your thighs. That's a good one. So we could stay here for as long as you like. This is one that I like to spend time in. But for our purposes tonight, let's start to come up slowly so we can just enjoy the way up. Maybe take a breath for each stop along the way. And then maybe start to walk your hands forward. And see how you feel about that. We'll take a few breaths. Maybe coming elbows to the floor. Remember to keep the legs resisting the floor. Knees moving down and together. Maybe even drop your forehead onto your hands. Okay, all curled up here. Keep pressing the knees down and together. It should feel really nice in your hip creases and all the spots from your knees, from your inner thigh up to your hip crease. Maybe one more breath here. peel yourself up and out of this really yummy kind of restorative posture. And sit your hips out to one side. And we'll take a few windshield wipers here. Take a few rounds. Point the knees side to side. Notice your low back here. All right. Windshield wiper feels good after that posture. Bring yourself back to your mat and we're going to roll it all the way down here. So if you grab behind your knees, see if you could roll down in slow motion. Okay, get all your feet up in the air. Let's circle the ankles out. You could just make cactus arms here. Kind of spread your chest out wide. Scoot your shoulder blades under you. Let's make circles with toes. And then reverse your circles. Okay, let's do some figure eights. Feels good to move your ankles. Okay, take some figure eights in the other direction. Okay, and after that, this is the hardest part for me. Write your name in capital letters with both of your big toes at the same time. Okay, yeah. Shins and calves feeling nice and warm. So from there, cross your right leg over your left. You can cross your knees and maybe cross your shins, if that makes sense today. And then ground your shoulder blades as much as you can. We're going to drop the knees to the left. Okay. And actually, once you get your knees over there, you might want to pick your hips up and move them over to the right so that they're more in line with your shoulders. And then you have your longest spine here. Your most grounded shoulder blades. And let's just take some time to breathe right here. So we'll be here for about a minute. So I want you to know that you have so much time. So think of grounding your shoulder blades and deepening the twist by lifting your heart up as you ground your shoulder blades. Breathing deeply into every part of your torso. See if you can let go into the twist a little more with each exhale. Keep breathing. Maybe 4 long, slow breaths. Keep grounding your shoulders and lifting your heart. Last breath. Bring it in through center and then keep the right leg crossed over left. We're going to take them to the other side. So before you drop the knees to the right, maybe move the hips to the left. And then they're already over there. And then you drop your knees. Okay, so let's look away from the knees so that the twist is most complete. But while you're doing that, maybe pick your shoulder blades up and scooch them a little bit away from your hips, because more than likely you just got about 1 inch taller. And let's account for that space. Okay, look to the left. Breathe. Big upward movement in the heart and downward movement in the shoulders. And that's where your twist will start to open up. Deep breath. Allow the body to let go into the twist. Maybe one more really super long, slow breath here. Lift that heart. And then let's bring it back through center. Untangle your legs and stick them back up in the air. Maybe a few little bonus ankle circles here. And then we'll cross the other way. So bring left leg over right, bend the knees, and then maybe the shins cross too. Okay, so tangled up with your legs. And if you just drop your feet and move your hips a little bit to the left, then you can very nicely drop your hips to the right and look to the left. So we're going to do the same 2 twists on this crossing of legs. And you have time. We're going to take about 1 minute on each side. 1 minute on each twist. So breathe deeply. Be aware at any time if you feel like your spine's getting longer and you want to move your shoulders further away from your hips to account for that. Continue to anchor your shoulders and lift your heart. Remind yourself again and again. Okay, we're going to bring it through center. Keep the legs crossed just like they are, left over right. And before we drop to the other side, let's move the hips a little bit to the right. And the knees will drop to the left, and you look to the right. So feel free to pick your shoulder blades up and move them around here. It just makes the twist nicer. Close your eyes. Feel your body cooling down. Maybe 2 more long, slow breaths here. Any last shreds of tension draining out of your body. And bring it back in. Untangle everything. Back up in the air one more time. And then see how slowly you can lower your legs back to the ground. And once your legs land, let go completely. Relax your whole body. Let your breath happen completely naturally, and let your body just surrender all effort. So relax your jaw. And spend at least a few minutes here just breathing and being still. It's really best for you to let your practice kind of soak in this way for as long as you can. Spend a little time just observing yourself, very objectively, watching your thoughts without getting caught up, and cultivating bliss. And this is where I will leave you tonight. Please rest for as long as you can. Thanks so much for joining me.